Welcome back. Before we went on break, we were talking about this, and David, who's from the Private Bikers Association of Kenya, was talking about how the private bikers in Kenya are like a community, brothers keepers. If you see a fellow rider riding without the gear, you stop and ask them about it. And so at the end of what you said, I had a question, which is, why is it that your association is able to do that and keep your members at a very high level of safety and awareness, and the communities and the SACCOs and the associations that the Bodabodas have are not able to do the same? You're giving us something. Why do you think they are able to do it and your members are not able to?
Okay, huwezi kuombea bodaboda ambazo ni za private na bodaboda, yani pikipiki ambazo ni za private na bodaboda wa kawaida. Namba yao ni less than 5,000. Sisi tunaongelea kuhusu 2.8. Hao ni watu wengi sana. Another thing ni kwamba yule akichukua pikipiki yake ni kwenda shughuli zake. But yule naye anachukua pikipiki anaingia kufanya kazi, kutafuta. Alafu pia utapata kwamba ile pikipiki ambayo yule anatumia ni pikipiki ambayo ni ya bei. So hata vijana ni tofauti. Na mtu anaweza afford hiyo pikipiki, lazima akuwe ni mtu amejipanga. Lakini pikipiki ambayo anatumia ya vijana wetu hawa ni pikipiki ambayo ni ya biashara, so bei yake pia ni chini kidogo, na kiamka pia ni kutarget venye anaenda kufanya kazi na kadhalika. So I think hapo ndio kuna tofauti kidogo. Another thing ni kwamba si ati hatuwezi jimanage.
Lakini wacha niulize kidogo. Barabara si ni zile zile. Ujuzi wa kuendesha pikipiki si ni ule ule. Vitu ambavyo tunazungumzia ni vitu vya kimsingi sana. Kwa mfano, kuzingatia sheria za barabara, kwa mfano, kuzingatia hali ya usalama ukiwa barabarani, vitu kama helmet, vitu kama zile reflector, vitu kama hivyo. Pia inakuja mambo ya utajiri pale.
Okay, nikijibu pia hapo ni kwamba hao watu si ati hata wana hiyo na reflector na kadhalika. Unapata pia bado hao watu wa pikipiki. Mimi kama nimebeba mteja for example, naenda mahali na unapata jam, for example umetoka Mombasa road unaikuja town, unaweza kaa hapo karibu 3 hours ama 4 hours. So utapata kwamba mtu wa pikipiki anajaribu kupata venye anataka kupenya ndiye afikishe mteja wake juu. Tena most of the time unapata kwamba mteja ndiye anakupeleka hiyo mbio, na ili hali kwamba utabidi sasa kama anakupeleka mbio na jamu imefunga, lazima utafuta venye utapenya. Tunapata kwamba member ameruka mpaka ameingia penya mingi. So mimi nilikuwa naomba kama itawezekana government ijaribu kuangalia space ya bodaboda ni kama 1 meter tu length, unaona, watengee tu watu wa bodaboda kabarabara kao, so that akiona ile jam ya magari anaweza chapa aende aru, sababu siwezi kuwa nazinda kwa jam.
Melania, wasemaje?
I'm very happy to be with this team.
Yes.
You can now confirm Bodaboda riders know the rules, but they choose
not to.
So what do you do to such people? We need enforcers to make them now be key. We know the rules, but he says we are always on a hurry. But these are part of the bodaboda where they are always on a hurry. As much as you say the customer is right, why risk your life? These are the people who will cross when the train is almost there, all the matatus or everything is just at standstill and just penya from nowhere. So, not that they don't know. As much as they talk about, it is all about discipline. About discipline, they are not disciplined. Sorry to say so. Because
quickly before you even unpack that some more, we'll come back to you. We just want to hear what Liali has to say about his experience with Bodaboda riders, on the road.
He's actually one himself.
He's one of...
True that you're indisciplined?
Mkinyang'anywa number plate, sa ile number plate yako inachukuliwanga, sijui nini ingine, license inachukuliwa, what always happens?
Sasa unajua kama license imechukuliwa ama number plate imechukuliwa, automatically we'll have nothing to do.
Kwa nini ichukuliwe? Kwa upatwe tu kwa barabara hivi yako ichukuliwe, ya mwingine wote isichukuliwe?
Inamaanisha kuna sheria hujafuata.
How many times do you always have your helmet and that one for your client?
Many times.
How many times have you carried more than 2-3 people kwa bodaboda yako?
Depending on a day.
Mambo ikikuwa baya unaokoka.
Yeah.
Mambo ikikuwa mzuri una behave.
Yeah.
Kwa hivyo unakubaliana kwamba at some point you people have fallen short. Aba unataka kujustify.
But I can say that unajua inalingana na ile siku vile umesema, vile siku imeenda. Siku inaweza kuendea mbaya. Like mimi huwa naenda kama sokoni, niko na mzigo. Unapata nataka bodaboda nipepe. Namwambia beba hii, nipe huyu mwingine. Ananiambia aki kuanzia asubuhi sijapepa. Hii ni party yangu, ngoja tu ni pepe.
Patie yote.
Unampatia yote.
Inapitia pepe.
Alafu unaongeza pesa.
Alafu pesa anapata kitu aingilie kwa nyumba.
Tunarudi kwako. And I'm glad that we have Samuel here from NTSA. Samuel, I am looking at the stats, and I mean, there's a gentleman who sent a message to say hakuna kitu kama hiyo, 85% riders wako na DL. But then also, I'm just looking at a report that you had released alongside AA. That was speaking about, the numbers of, the riders that have been licensed and the ones that have not. It says, according to official data, out of the more than 5 million riders who operate in the country, only 2 million are licensed, perhaps pretty much agreeing to what it is that you had said. That would be around 40%. And now this being an official report, and now that you're here, Musumba, we come back to you, that is right in Naivasha, so that you can highlight the question of the numbers that have been highlighted on this report extensively, but largely also talk about, these enforcement processes that are on our roads today, such that we can say that when one flouts the rules, then this is how we get to enforce the laws that we already have in existence.
Yeah, looking at those numbers, that is how the situation is like. It's worrying, like I said. If you have only 40% who are licensed, that means a whole 60% is out there and licensed. Quite a number of them have not even the right licenses. You are talking about somebody is supposed to have class A2, but somebody has a BCE and still riding, and wants to say that he's licensed. That is really the trend. One of the things that we have really been pushing for is for them to join those circles, yes, but training for them to be licensed. We even began a very subsidized training with the NYS at some point, but then the uptake still was not as good enough. We were telling them, you can come here, you were saying it's expensive, but you can come here and be trained at a very subsidized, rate. We are happy that some of the counties leaders have taken up, the MCS, the MPs, and the government have taken it up to train some of these riders using devolved funds here and there, which is a very good thing. And so ours is really pushing that we have as many riders as possible trained. In 2018, if you recall, government did come up with a task force that was to look at reforming this sector. And some of the things that we are talking about here, including the Halwale bill, actually are in that report, which are in line with, again, the regulations that we have. How do we just improve this sector? And one of them is really training, then these guys go into circles, then we can build their capacity and change like that. Now, we have embarked on a registration process where we need now the right data so that we are able now to really find out who are actually licensed, and they really licensed properly. And from our data now, we are going up to those, those mashinani kabisa, working with the Ngao structure, that we're able to pick out, this information. And it's coming out so well. Initially, there were those, anytime you bring up this issue, they want to politicize it, they want to make it look so bad, just like they have done now for this bill. But it's not like that. The kind of data we are looking for is data that will go to inform the kind of reforms we want to see in this sector. Once we know County X has this number of riders, and this number has not been trained, then we can work out programs to see that they are all trained. Okay. One of the things that we really come up with to support the trainings is allowing registration of rider schools, purely rider schools. And we're saying that if we had so many rider schools across the country, then we are talking about many of these riders actually taking up, the trainings. All and that is really the gap that we're trying to fill. When it comes to enforcement, I know the challenge is there. Today, if you are to go out to enforce this Bodaboda guys, sometimes it's really a challenge. They will run all over the place like that. But we are saying through this kind of arrangement, where they're in circles, where we know who is operating where, it's much easier even to enforce because we'll know where you are. We'll be able to take up to even where you stay, you know, we will be able to reach out to that.
Okay.
The counties where these guys operate, it's much easier to really, you know, enforce at that particular level.
Okay.
So again, it's just a call to the Bodaboda riders and the whole entire group that we cooperate, that we take up this responsibility and not look at whatever government comes up with is out to perhaps antagonize their business and all that. I think that's the wrong notion that we are getting here. They should be looking at all this in their own interest. It's safety, it's good for their business. Nobody is out here to have this kind of conflicts with them. Nobody is out here to harass them or that kind of thing. But we are here for their good, for their safety. So it's up to them to just cooperate with government and be responsible. Yes.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Director. We have to listen to the people because we asked them a question. First of all, some views from the different parts of the country as well as the feedback that we have, and then we come back to you. So let's listen into that, to what the people have to say.
Start with Bungoma, please.
Unajua Halwale ni watu ambayo wamefika katika bunge huko juu na wamekula au wameshiba, wanafikiria wananchi pia wa chini wameshiba. Hiyo maneno yake sisi hatuwezi kubaliana na yeye. Wawachane na sisi tufanye kazi. Jua wajui venye sisi tunaumia kwa hii barabara. Because kitu cha kwanza akisema ati bodaboda hawezi beba mzigo kama ya 50 kg. 50 kg kitu kama nyanya ikifika pale sokoni, ni bodaboda ndio wanafikisha nyanya pale sokoni. Aya, ukikuja upande wa tuseme kama mapolisi, anajaribu kupea mapolisi kiburi na kuzidi kutunyanyasa. Because unaweza pata tu polisi anaharasi tu mtu wa bodaboda bila makosa. Mtu kama huyo, mbona nyinyi kama bodaboda sekta yetu tusikuje pamoja tutetee ule mtu wetu mwenye polisi ameharasi? Ukikuja upande wa magari, hao watu wa magari pesa zingine wako na madharau.
Kwa maoni yangu kulingana na mambo ya Khalwale hiyo, kuna penye nakubaliana naye na kuna penye sikubaliana naye. Si bodaboda wote wenye ni wakorofi. Kuna wale wenzetu wengine wenye ni wakorofi kidogo. Lakini sisi wanga tunafanya kazi. Sasa kama anasema hauwezi ukabeba mtu na ukabeba na 50 kg. 50 kg ni kamzigo kenye kameundiwa hiyo keria hapo nyuma. Unaona keria pale nyuma. Hiyo mzigo inatakana ikae kwa hiyo keria ya hapo nyuma. Alafu mtu anakaa hapa mbele. Sasa hiyo maneno ya kusema ati usibebe mtu na 50 kg, hiyo mimi sikubaliane na Khalwale.
Mambo ya kuvuka pavement, hiyo kitu kama mimi mwana bodaboda wa Bungoma, tulikuwa hapa juzi, hata Excellency Ruto tulikuwa naye, rais tulikuwa naye hapa. Mheshimiwa kama senator wetu Wafula aliongelea hiyo kitu ya pavement hiyo. Hapa Bungoma hiyo barabara haikutengenezwa vizuri upande wa kuvuka, upande wa kudivert. Inatakana tupeweko hapo around about kama 7. Mheshimiwa Wakoli aliongea hiyo kitu. Na hiyo kitu hajaingilia.
Omba tuweze kukua tupangwe in order so that kila mwana bodaboda apate mahali pa kusimama, tusichanganyike mpaka tunafika mahali hatujuani. So we want order in town as we work on our respective places. Na sheria za barabara huwa tunafuata sana. Kama saa hii jua ni kali sana, ndio maana hata tujavaa jacket. Unajua ukivaa jacket wakati wa jua unaweza hata lala kwa pikipiki ukiendesha. So tumetoa jacket lakini nimevaa reflector.
Sense hapa ukiangalia hapa hivi hatuna marks, hata ujui unapita mkono gani. Wewe unapita tu bora upite. Tunaomba serikali iweze kutumakia barabara, at least tunajua wakati upi unafaa kukimbia kwenda wapi. Changamoto nyingine yenye tuko na.
Yes, reactions before the bill was withdrawn, and Ismail Abdallah says Bodaboda is like a dam site. While everyone in the society fits in, the government has really failed the leadership. There is no way we can enforce the existing rules by ourselves without the help of the government. He goes ahead to say Halwale can be right in some of the points, but the bill lacked public participation for some of the punitive laws he is trying to push for us. And then Zachary here says they should be regulated because of the question of insecurity and misbehaving. Gero Mriksa says they should be regulated to maintain security across the country. Wanjao Wanjiro says, sorry to say, but these rules will not be beneficial to the rider, but to the police. And then Boni Mstaafu anauliza, regulated why? Victor Moyakani.
All right, regulated why? Let's bring in David for a second. Kuna mambo fulani hapa. Talk to us a little bit about how you're able to, what lessons they can, perhaps these SACCOs can learn from the Private Bikers Association. What are you doing different that creates compliance to laws among your members, that creates awareness of safety and creates discipline on the roads?
Let's go
na
to...
si mambo ya pesa.
Si mambo na pesa. In fact, let me correct you. We have people who have boxers, 150cc kama yenu tu, starting level. And they do not behave like the bodabodas because they are private bikers. If I know I'm driving to work or I'm in a matatu and I'll have to leave the house at 6 a.m. to be in the office by 8. But if I'm riding, even if I leave at 7 a.m. and I will then split, I'll still be in the office by 8. But for him, as he said, ni biashara. So anataka kwenda haraka, arudi haraka. So if it's in comparison, we will compare the bodabodas with the matatus. So the mayhem we see on the road with the matatus is what we see with the bodabodas. The private bikers are just like the car owners. They have discipline. Overlapping is not very common. But now, when it comes to training, there is affordable training. We have our trainers, and we keep being retrained. I've been riding for over 15 years, but I still go for training. Adventure, advanced training. And since we have the numbers, we get a subsidized rate from our trainers. It can be like 1,000 bob. Sorry, pick a day in a month, and you get your 20 riders. They go for a refresher course.
So is that something, just on that point, if you may, please, Mr. Patrick, that's something your members can do, your SACCO in Kibra. I believe even Ismail Abdallah is one of your members, he's saying. So they're saying, can we borrow something from there where the riders come together and the cost is subsidized? Because if it's 20 riders at 1,000 bob, imagine if it's 500 riders.
And even the report speaks of what it would take for them to get licenses, because they complain about the prices, 8,000 and all that and everything that is needed. It goes ahead to say it will offer Bodaboda riders an opportunity to get licensed at 100 shillings every day for 61 days.
We've been doing that with the Red Cross, we at Kibera SACCO.
Okay.
So we've been training our riders on safety through Red Cross. So it's something we've been doing. But we need support from other stakeholders so that we can have that building capacity through SACCOs. You know, the government initiated that for every bodaboda to do his own business should be in a SACCO. But that enactment of the law haijawahi kuwa implemented. So we need people who can support us, who can help us and mentor us, so that hawa watu wajue kuna umuhimu wa trainings.
All right.
So that we can be safety on roads.
Okay.
We in Kibera, we do move on with our normal businesses. We carry 2 helmets, but ukikutana na customer hataki kuvaa.
Hygiene.
Hygiene. Nasema we cannot share these helmets. Unapatia huyu, unanipatia huyu. Reflectors the same. There's no time to wearing these reflectors. You carry on daily basis.
How long does it take for someone to put on a reflector? Surely, how many seconds?
The clients now, they deal with clients.
Or kama mtu ambaye pikipiki ni yake. Also, you see, also as a rider, you can insist on...
We normally insist, but now when you start arguing with the client, he moves on. Anaenda kupanda mwingine mwenye hataki kubali.
So what if...
And Rwanda seems to be working so well.
Okay, yes.
If all the bodabodas at that stage say
ngumu.
kama uvai helmet ama uvai reflector sikubebi, you go to the next one, it's the same. It will just take a time. It will just take some couple of weeks or months, and people will be like, hey, huyo bodaboda, he insists my safety first. Ile siku wanaanguka, wanakimbia hospitali kujaza kitabu, you'll be like, I wish I had taken the other one. That's all that it takes. Change one person at a time.
Okay, you are making a few points. If let me just give you a couple of minutes to make. What are two other things you think your team does well that can be adopted by the Bodaboda circles?
We also,
before we move to Melania,
we have things called group rides, where we'll ride out of Nairobi, go and have lunch somewhere, then we dissect and say this ride was like this, safety was not adhered to here, you're overtaking on the wrong side of the road. So we keep mentoring the new riders. You'll ride with us for like 2 or 3 rides. By the time you're on the 4th ride, you already grasp that knowledge, and you know now next time, even if I'm alone, I need to do this.
So being your brother's
keeper. There's a whole overtaking mentality, line of sight. If we are riding 3, 4 of us, I will not overtake blindly because this other one has gone. I need to calculate and see how long will it take. And another thing with the private bikers, we always told that everyone around you is mad, insane. You're the only sane person, so watch out. Anyone can do anything at any time. Someone can cross the road, a car can decide, let me just indicate here. You've seen incidents where, on Ngong Road, we have the lane for the bikes. So you can be riding on the bike lane, and a driver will decide to just turn left without checking if there's a bike. He'll forget there's a bike lane. So we are always cautious in our braking distance. How long will it take before I stop somewhere?
All right.
Yeah.
So I want to give you 30 seconds. If you had to change one thing, what would it be? Sort of like a parting shot. If you had powers to change one thing, what would that be?
If I had powers to change one thing in the country, is, okay, can I talk about 2 things first? One, NTSA needs to differentiate. When these laws are being made, we need to differentiate the private bikers and the bodabodas. When they're creating laws and bylaws, can they differentiate and know that these are private bikers, this is a commercial rider? If I was to change one thing in the country, is enforcing safety gear. That should be for all riders.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Melania?
Mine is the government and other organizations are willing that bodabodas can change it, and we care about them. I'll not say Harware was wrong as much as whatever intention he had, it was for the good of the bodaboda sector who are dying very much. But themselves, what do they think about their lives? Do they feel good when all the time we are discussing about what they are doing, the carelessness, not following the rules that have been put there? Is it our duty to tell you, follow what is supposed to be done? So as much as we may talk about the government enforcement, I think I talk about safety starts with you. I may want to say that the government has failed, true, it has failed, but again, they have managed. You have had, they are able to do that. Their bikes are very expensive, but we keep on complaining, wewe ni mkulima mdogo. We have other people, honestly speaking, who are also trying to make ends meet. And my question to the relevant authorities in the government, are they the stricter rules that are going to change, or is empowering these people, giving them education? And as much as you keep on bringing those new rules and regulations, my question is, do you sit down, have a public participation? Because let me just mention one of the bill, one of the point in the bill. You talk about helmet and trackers. Do you use the tracker to find if this person is wearing the helmet? So we go back and you need to talk to these people, make them understand. And if they don't, enforce. And anytime I come to this show, I'll always say the government is failing by, if you cannot obey, then why don't you enforce? Then give reasonable penalties. You cannot tell a bodaboda rider that you'll penalty 100K where is that person getting that money? You are just instilling some corruption.
Okay.
Because you'll tell me 100,000 and going to jail 6 months, sinikupe dhao mbili tu akiuniatia.
Alright.
And then
Fair enough.
All right, Mr. Liai.
Oh, beautiful.
Quick fast. What's the one thing you'd like to change?
Mimi kama ni mimi, ingekuwa ni mimi. Ingekuwa na uwezo. Ningejenga shule ya hawa wanabodaboda kuenda kusoma. Juu hata mimi mahali natoka hakuna hata moja. Na ukisema waende wasome wanashangaa tutaenda wapi? Mahali natoka hakuna hata moja. So naweza jenga hapo waenda hapo. Ndio sasa nikuja na kitu kama hii bill. Nishawapea muda wamesoma ama wachasoma. Ndio nikuja sasa nikae kama na wachache.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Alex?
And Mr. Alex, as you respond to that, Eunice anasema, Niko Machakos, thanks for holding this topic. Please ask that bodaboda guy why they let their members install those LED and weird colored snake lights that are not good for other drivers on the road and even not good for the passengers.
Okay. Nianze tu na huyo kwanza kumjibu ni kwamba mimi nikiongea kama kiongozi sioni sababu ya kuniambia kijana amefanya pikipiki yake ikuwe rembo. Actually the same case jana nimeenda kutoa kijana ndani. Kesi yake yako na license, ako na insurance and everything. But makosa yake amekamatiwa ni kwamba pikipiki yake ni rembo. Asina merembesa ya. So nikauliza swali.
It's not a danger to you.
Manyanga, kuna magari za manyanga, si kweli? Sina beba na ni rembo. Mteja anaweza chagua kama sitaki pikipiki rembo, then nipande yenye ina hiyo vitu vingine. So pia wacha tupea hawa vijana wenye wanafanya hiyo branding na kadhalika. Hii ni kama njia moja ya kuempower, unaona? If the kijana ana feel kwamba pikipiki yake ikuwe rembo, ndiye akae kwa hiyo stage. Unajua kuna miaka zingine pia huwezi pizana nazo. So I think hiyo inaweza kuwa kando. Yeye akifeel kwamba haijambamba apande nyingine ambayo haina hiyo urembo mingi.
Okay.
Another thing ni kwamba naweza sema ni hivi, hizo mambo ya driving school. Hiyo pesa lazima ipunguzwe. Iweze kuwa kuna mahali 22,000. Kijana anataka kutoa 22,000. Tuweke standard moja juu hivi vijana most of the time wanajua practical. Wafunzwe theory. Kuambia tu kijana hii mataa ikiwaka red simama. Usipite roundabout namna hiyo. Unamdai shilingi 20,000 kwa nini? Inafaa walete wasanye. Wewe unajua kuendesha pikipiki kujeni hapa. Okay, mfunzwe theory siku moja. Mkimaliza siku ya pili ya tatu wasa jua by the way waambu lipa hata 3,000. We are willing as a association to support them hata walipe polepole kwa loan, lakini si hiyo pesa 22,000. 22,000 is a lot of money. Na mtu ametoka shule kijana mdogo hiyo pesa hajasave. Another thing ni mambo tumesema mambo ya tax. Wewe unaambia kijana alipe tax na ili hata mali mbeba ni kwa jua, ni kwa mtaro maji kuja inambeba. Kaunti kitaka tulipe tax we have no problem, but waende wajenge at least sites ambayo iko reasonable na walete hizo tax out tusiangalie pia kama riders ama kama viongozi tuambie nao hii ina make sense. Tunaweza ilipa isikuwe ni kama ni corruption. Unajua wakati Kalola leta hii kitu tungeipokea, lakini tunaona kana kwamba ni hoteli wamefungulia watu fulani.
Okay.
Sababu sasa wakati unaongeza sheria kwa bodaboda, kuna mtu atakuja tu kukamate na aseme umesikia vile mmeambiwa. If kama wewe nipe 5,000 1,100 uende ukufie mbe. Sasa kijana ataanza kutetemeka. Na by the way we thank God as a association tumejipanga sababu hata hivi vitu tukupigia we have our lawyers, like one of our lawyers ni Bwana Danstan Omari is one of our lawyers, anatusaidia sana. Kwa mambo ya law tunamsukumia so that atatue mahali inawezekana. Sababu pia nayo unapata kijana amecomply yako na kila kitu. Lakini kwa sababu amekataa kupea 2,000, unamwambia ati alikuwa amevaa viatu wenye hiyo viatu si ya pikipiki, mbona umevaa namna hiyo? Then anafika huko anapigwa fine 10,000. So anaona badala yake niende huko nitoe pesa mingi. Si nikupee tu 1,000. Alafu mambo ya tracker. Tracker mimi nilikuwa nasema kama unataka ile tracker wasitujudge sababu kuna mtu alikuwa anafikiria ni kama alikuwa amechora pikipiki 3,000,000 akiweka tracker 12,000 hiyo ni bilioni ngapi alikuwa anataka kuchukua kwa bodaboda? I think hiki ilikuwa inakuja pia na njaro ya fulani ya business ama na siasa kwa sababu hiyo ni njia mbaya.
Kupewa bure itakuwa ngumu nayo. Haraka Patrick.
Asante, nashukuru. Mimi ningekuwa na uwezo ningechukua hizi pesa, ningetafuta pesa niweke kwa SACCOS. SACCOS iwe inasaidia bodabodas na hizi trainings, seminars through safety. Wale ambao wana helmets wananunuliwa na SACCO, wanalipa katika riba ya chini. Wale ambao wana licenses wanaingia kwa shule wanajifunza, SACCO inalipa, wanalipa polepole. Wale ambao wana insurance tuna make sure kila mtu amejipanga.
Okay.
Kwa sababu kuna pesa ya kuwadhamini. Tu ningetengeneza kama bike parks, zinaitwa bike parks, kama unaona Green Park ilitengenezwa lakini hata haifanyi kazi huko. Wana bodaboda wana operate mahali ambapo kuna jua sana. Umesikia mmoja akilalamika pale. Jua inawachoma, mvua ikikuja inawanyeshea, hawana mahali ambapo ukipark bike yako, mteja anakuja anaona hapa mahali ni pasafi, anaweza kunywa chai, anaweza kupata kitu ambacho ni maji ya kukunywa, anaweza kupata airtime, then anachukuliwa akienda. Kwa hivyo watu wa bodaboda, ukiangalia sehemu hii Nairobi, kuna mahali ambapo watu wanaoperate na ni mahali ambapo hata uwezi kukubali mwana bodaboda asema, lakini ni stage. Kwa hivyo naweza jenga kila mahali kwa sababu ya kuwavutia wateja, na hata wale mwana bodaboda wanapofanya kazi, ni kazi kama ile ingine, ni kazi kama ya ile ambayo
shimo si mnalipishanga bei kali sana hizo mateni. Hiyo shimo ndio mtu apate, haimtoshi kutengeneza
shimo. Hatulipishi bei kali. Gapi wewe ulisikia?
Unajua hata sisi tunaulizanga hapa ndio tuanze kuingia kwa hiyo biashara. Unaambiwa shimo
sijui ningelifanya hivyo ndio hata unajua shimo uwezi hata unajua ukiingia hapa, ukikuja hapa kwa hii studio yenu, wakati ulikuja ulifanyiwa interview.
Na sasa hizo shimo, hiyo pesa ya shimo inaendaga wapi? Mbona hizi kutengeneza kairi akakuwe smart?
Sasa ningefanya hivyo. Mimi si umeniuliza ningefanya namna gani? Ningelifanya hivyo bila kujali hiyo shimo hati inalipishwa hapana.
Alright. Fair enough. Mtu wako hapa Bernard Otuongo anasema, I am Bernard from Kibra Bodaboda Sacco. If I may ask, how is the government going to help us regulate the youth who are not trained from joining the Bodaboda sector? Daniel Bosire naye anasema, about helmet, it will be better for a customer who wants to take a motorcycle to carry his or her own hygiene reasons purposes. Melania, we can only afford you 10 seconds before we go to Naivasha. 10 seconds, or you're okay. All right, we cross over to Samuel, Programs Director, NTSA, as you respond to Otuongo on what government can do in terms of making sure that they do these regulations on those ones that are not trained, and your parting shots.
Thank you once more. For the untrained, it's now very open. We've tried really to encourage that you go for the trainings. We are now licensing purely rider schools. And we've been encouraging those circles. You can actually open also a rider school. We have instructors that we have licensed. We'll always give them to you. We have regulations for those schools. We'll assist you to open up those schools. Leadership in the counties, leadership from the governors, the MCAs and the MPs and all that. Please help to open up these schools, help to take these guys to trainings. And if you look at even the licenses, not so expensive. I mean, these guys can afford malipo ya pole pole. They are doing malipo ya pole pole for these bikes. You realize somebody has bought a bike over 350,000 or plus. Through malipo ya pole pole. Why wouldn't you do that even for your training, which is your safety, at the end of the day? Now, my parting shot, and I want to look at the faces of all the speakers who have been here and the riders out there. I've been with these guys for a long time. Really, most of these guys know me a lot. The wards are bleeding. If you look at the numbers that we have of your fellow brothers who are in those wards, they are bleeding. The numbers that we have registered last year of the deaths, over almost 2,000 deaths because of the bodaboda rowdiness and just flouting the rules, it is just too much for us to bear. If there's one thing that I would love to see changed, is to reverse these numbers. If there's one thing that I would really love to see, is the reduction of these numbers. If there's a year we can report nil, my goodness, I think I will peacefully rest. And how do we get there? It is these steps that we are talking about here. The drafters of these regulations, if you read the 2015 regulations, there's nothing to punish you. It's all for your safety and safety of your business. And if you didn't know, safety and profits go together like this. Safety and business go together like this. The business people who have been able to understand this are doing their businesses very well. So if you invest in safety, you are safe yourself, your bike is safe. At the end of the day, hata biashara yako inanoga, inakuwa sawa kabisa. Hautafanya biashara ukiwa katika ward kwa sababu ya kutovaa ile helmet, hautafanya biashara if you'll be in that grave. So really my parting shot is, Let us embrace this change. Change is here with us. And interestingly, from the speakers you can hear, they actually, and the questions, they understand these things. They know all these things. So really it's a matter of, let's embrace this. Hizo helmets tutumie. It's not rocket science here. Tutie hizi sheria. Let us take up the circles. Tuingie katika circles hizi. Tuingie katika trainings. Let us be licensed well. And that is what the government wants for you. Government means well for each and everyone in that sector.
Thank you.
If only they can take up this. We mean well. We mean well for you.
We appreciate, thank you so much, Samuel Musumba, Programs Director, NTSA, joining us live from Naivasha. We appreciate that you could find time for this important conversation. Asante sana. Another gentleman who was watching us and as well as contributing virtually, Ismail Abdallah, who is the Kenya Bodaboda Association Secretary, Nairobi County. And a special thanks to Chair here, Alex Kulema, National Executive Head of Bodaboda Welfare. Asante sana for the great insights, as well as Patrick Mulusa, Chairperson Kibra Bodaboda Sacco. Asante sana. And right behind, David Mbaya, the, of course, trustee, Private Bikers Association of Kenya. Asante sana. Not forgetting Melania Twitter, expert Parkside Road Safety Awareness. Tunashukuru sana. Last but not least, Jackton Lusaba Liai, entrepreneur. Asante sana for the insights that you've accorded to us, and you back at home as well for contributing immensely on today's conversation. My name is Linda Lela. It was great having you. I look forward to see you again on Tuesday, when we get to discuss even better conversations that revolve around our very own interests as a people.
All right, my name is Victor Moyakane. I wish you a good night full of God's blessings, and please stay safe on the roads. Like David said, every other person is mad, so you try to be the sane person on the road. Thank you very much for choosing us to inform you this evening. Good night.
God bless. And thank you so much. Special thanks to the team, as well as Catherine Simaloi, our sign language interpreter, and of course the director, the cameraman, and not forgetting the editorial team that worked on the stories, the graphics team, and the digital team. Asante sana. We look forward to see you again. Asante.
Thank you.